Good evening, and pull your chair a little closer to the fire, because tonight's Campfire Stories tale comes right off our own river. This one is fiction, mostly, the way the best ones are. They call it the Thousand Islands Ferry with no name, and old boaters swear it only crosses when the fog comes down thick and low. No lights, no registration, no name painted on the hull, and here is the strange part. It throws no wake at all.
A boat with no wake? Marty, that is just a boat sitting still. You have described a dock.
A dock does not glide out of the mist toward you at 1 o'clock in the morning, Carol. The story goes that a young fellow named Danny was running his father's little skiff back from Mallorytown Landing one night in October, when the fog rolled in so thick he could not see the bow. And out of that grey wall came an old wooden ferry, wide and low, easing across the channel without a single sound.
So he did the sensible thing and turned around and went home.
He did not. He was cold and lost, and the ferry looked warm somehow, so he brought the skiff alongside and stepped aboard. There was an old ferryman at the tiller in a long oilskin coat, and he never turned his head. He only said, in a voice like water over stone, "Cross with me, son, and you will be set back gentle on the shore."
Set back where exactly? Because that is the sort of sentence I would want cleared up before I got on the boat.
That is the question, is it not? Danny asked how much the fare was, and the ferryman said there was no fare, only that the crossing takes a little longer than it seems. So Danny sat on a worn cedar bench, and the ferry slid through the fog, quiet as a held breath, and he watched the dark islands drift past on either side.
How long is a little longer than it seems? Give me a number. I like numbers.
To Danny it felt like maybe 10 minutes. The ferry touched the far shore without a bump. The ferryman said, "Mind your step," and Danny climbed off onto the rocks below his own father's cabin. He felt fine. Not tired, not cold anymore, not one thing wrong with him.
Then that is a lovely story with a happy ending, and we can all go to bed.
Except the cabin was dark, Carol, and the dock was gone, half rotted into the water. The skiff he had left tied to the ferry was nowhere. And when he walked up the path to the road, the trees were taller, and there were houses on the ridge that had never been there, houses with strange soft lights in the windows.
All right. That is a little colder than I expected.
He found the highway and flagged down a car, and the fellow driving looked at him like he was a ghost. Danny asked him the date, plain as anything. And the man told him a year, and it was 20 years further on than the night Danny had stepped aboard that ferry.
20 years? Minutes for him, 20 years for the rest of the world.
20 years for his mother, who had grown old waiting. 20 years for his friends, who had children now, children older than Danny remembered being. He had aged maybe 10 minutes crossing that channel, and the whole world had gone on and left him standing on the shore in his same wet coat.
So the fare was not money. The fare was everyone he ever knew.
That is what the old boaters believe. They say the ferry with no name is still out there on the foggy nights, easing across the channel without a wake, and the ferryman still calls out soft to anyone lost and cold enough to answer. And here is the part that keeps me off the water in October. Some nights, they say, you can see a young man standing on the far rocks, dry now, looking up at houses he does not recognize.
And I suppose you're going to tell me you saw him?
I'm going to tell you that last week, in the fog, I heard a voice come across the water like water over stone, asking me to cross. And I'm telling you, I very nearly untied the boat. That is enough campfire for one night, I think. Good night, and mind the fog on your way home.
Good night, everyone. And Marty, if a boat offers you a free ride, do the math first.